It can't be that bad, oh, 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 it can't be that bad.
Well, now that no one's talking.
Can I present you guys with something before?
What?
Are we live?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we are live.
What do you mean
Okay.
present us with something?
Just to set the vibe today.
Oh, you're about to set the
He's
vibe?
gonna kill us.
What are you going to do,
He's
man?
reaching into his bag.
It's really scary.
He's got a giant gun.
Oh, it's a knife
Hey, but
attached to the giant gun.
I thought today I'd bring.
Oh,
Oh,
shit!
shit. Go, go, Power
Here's
Rangers.
one for you for right now, and I'm gonna need these back.
Oh,
These aren't to keep.
oh.
That's fine. That's completely fine.
You're Billy because you got the glasses,
What? I wanted to be Billy so bad.
and I'm gonna have to be Tommy.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, you're definitely the leader.
Well, I wouldn't.
OG
go that
leader,
far.
new leader, for show the beta.
Billy
This
was.
is cathartic. This is. I'm
Billy
gonna put
was
him right here.
unfortunately closeted. That's why he couldn't be himself.
Where do we put these?
I don't know. Maybe.
Wow.
The next
this is-
15 minutes is us trying to pose these figures. Honestly, I think I won.
That's pretty
is
good.
great.
That's pretty good.
Thank
for
you,
you-
Chris. Welcome, Chris Perry.
Yeah,
Welcome, baddies.
Thank you guys for
welcome.
having me again.
Dude,
been
would you
so
like
long.
to? Would you like to welcome the baddies to the show?
Hey baddies, welcome back to It Can't Be That Bad. I'm here with two handsome young lads.
Wow. Oh, are you rapping
That-
right now?
That was pretty.
Were those? Did that rhyme?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bad. It can't be that bad. And lads.
Okay, you're right. It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank
yeah,
you for joining
dude.
us.
It's nice to have you back here.
Thank you.
For you audio listeners out there, Christopher Perry is in the building, and he brought us action figures not to keep, but to stand on the table temporarily just for the episode because we are doing a movie podcast. And
Yeah, and these figures line up perfectly with the film. I do have a question though.
What?
How do you get Tommy's helmet on if he's got a ponytail?
the heads are detachable, right?
You just pull the head off.
Detachable head.
Silly man.
It's like that song, "Detachable Penis."
That's a song?
Yeah. We watched one of my all-time favorite movies, like staple. I mentioned this before we started recording. While watching this, I was able to like mouth every single line as it was being said.
Even the
Okay, well, I was gonna save it, but every time they turn their heads in the first scene when they morph, it's like
I was
everything.
going to bring that
Gloves,
up.
head movements, even like mid conversation, they're like, "Do you think that's right?" The whole thing's like, "Do you think that's right?" It's like
Yeah.
my brother had the gloves where there's like a little button inside,
Oh,
and you
sure,
could.
yeah.
So
What?
that was cool, but it didn't last throughout the whole movie.
That's a crazy piece of technology, something to trick kids into thinking that they are so fast they are cutting wind to make that noise.
Should we? I think.
Let's introduce the movie,
I am
dude.
chomping at the bit to talk about this movie.
I can tell.
I'm ready.
I haven't taken this much notes in a long time.
Really? That
and,
many?
And it was like I watched the entire film and then watched it a second time just so I knew what notes I wanted to bring up
Yeah,
in
so
this episode.
Christopher Perry, you brought us a movie today that is very representative of our childhood, very nostalgic.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the baddies what movie we're going to be reviewing?
We are going to be reviewing the 1995
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Semicolon the movie. But
So,
Yeah.
baddies, this is really hard to obtain and stream online, so don't do it illegally because don't be a fucking criminal. If you have the VHS, you got to do that. But also,
is the version on YouTube subtitled?
it's
Yeah,
subtitled
it's-
with Indonesian
Yeah.
subtitles.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Chris was like, it's available on
Look, in all
YouTube.
honesty, everybody owns a copy of this movie.
I have it
Yes.
on VHS, but I don't have a VHS.
I also
player.
have it on VHS.
Do you have, and you watched it through your VHS player?
No, excuse me. I also own it on my iPad.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, I bought this a long time ago.
You're a real fan.
It was also on Netflix not too long ago.
It was, but then they took it away.
I was-
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, it's
but I
fine.
was going to posit this question. Does Disney own Power Rangers now that they've bought Fox?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think for a moment they did, because I know Disney World had a Power Ranger like show.
Disney World did.
I think.
My brother met the Power Rangers at Universal Studios, if I remember correctly.
Well,
And
Disney,
they mentioned it in that behind the scenes thing we talked about,
Right.
how they shut down the 101 and stuff.
Right.
I believe my brother and my parents were at that Power Ranger meet and greet.
That's crazy.
That's so cool. And like all 5, 6 of the Rangers were there?
Yeah, I think the day my brother was there, he met the Black Ranger and the Pink Ranger. I'm sure he'll text me and tell me I'm wrong.
At Disney World, they have the Yellow Ranger's Aisha's like suit. So that's why it's so confusing.
Stepping on a couple of my notes here. But one of them was, so the Pink Ranger and the Yellow Ranger are both in Disneyland Hollywood Park. I don't know if they're still there. When was the last time you saw them there?
Disney World.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw them? Well, at the Hollywood Park.
Right.
In Disney World. What do you remember when the last time you saw them?
That was, what, 2017?
Interesting. And I'm sure there's more.
2017.
But I was in New York in 2017 as well at their Planet Hollywood, and they had all 5 or 6. They had all 6 Ranger suits there.
Wow.
And I remember the Planet Hollywood, and again, I'm sure my brother will correct me on this. It was either the Planet Hollywood in LA or there might have been one in San Francisco at one time. They had the Red Ranger suit.
Like the original Red Ranger
from the
suit?
movie.
Oh,
with the PVC armor and shit like that.
Oh, nice.
And I remember we would like go out of our way to go to that restaurant because me and my brother love Power Rangers so much just to see that suit and like have dinner in Planet Hollywood. But even like I asked my dad too, what city was that Planet Hollywood in? I can't remember if it was Hollywood at the one at Universal Studios or the one in San Francisco, if there was one in San Francisco.
But that's so cool to just see that's the suit from a movie from my childhood that means so much to me.
Exactly. That was one of the most important things to me and my brother.
What leads me to my next question is, Chris, so since you brought this movie to us, I always like to ask our guests that bring us these movies, like, what did this movie mean to you?
I don't know if the movie meant a lot to me compared to the show. I love the show.
Is your thing.
I think, I was like in kindergarten when I would watch it all the time right after school.
Sure.
But the movie itself, it was definitely, as a kid, something that was super enjoyable to watch.
Even looking at it now, as a kid, I never questioned the special effects. It was clearly different than the television show,
Right.
but I still never looked at it and was like, this is so bad. Now, 20, almost 30 years later, it's pretty evident how early on in computer graphics this movie takes place in.
Yeah. It aged not too well.
Right.
And I did a little bit of digging, and I learned that they didn't want to use they built a miniature set, and you can see it in some of the shots, like when the Zord flies through the building. But they didn't want to do the whole final fight scene like they do in the shows, people in suits in front of miniatures, because they had a bigger budget and they wanted to use that bigger budget, use the new technology at the time. I think it was a mistake. I think they probably should have done the classic tried and true method, especially at that time. CGI wasn't where it was at for you to have 30-foot monsters terrorizing a city and have it look good. I think that was maybe a misstep on a couple of missteps that they made, but not enough to make me not like this movie, especially not as a kid in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So, like with the original television series, I said if I'm wrong, and I didn't even get to say that much, but the original television series, a lot of the action sequences when they were in suits, that was from Japan. Those were Japanese actors. All of that.
All of season
voiced over.
All of season 1, where you see the Power Rangers in their suits, is old Japanese stuff. That's why the Red Ranger goes from this big to super skinny.
And there's just like a drastic change. Like you'll have like a huge fight with a Megazord with another creature, and then they'll go down to
small size,
and
they're
then
different.
They're like in Japan. You see all these Japanese people running away, and you're like, wait, what?
What I did learn was when they made it an American TV show, it wasn't until later on in the 2nd or 3rd season where they would have to film things with the American actors because they had changed the storyline. So I believe when the Green Ranger came in, there was a couple major plot points and keys that were very different from the Japanese show. So they had to film that separately here in America to make it make sense for their storyline. So as we go on and on as the seasons go through, they use less and less of the Japanese
which makes
Super
sense.
Sentai. In fact, this movie was the first time in Power Ranger franchise where they used 100% new footage. They shot all of this, made all of this with their actors, with Australian actors, without using any of the old Japanese
And it's now
stuff.
because they wanted to give the audience something new, something fresh, rather than just an elongated episode of the series, right?
Which it was. I find this very common with television shows that become movies. The movie ends up being just an entire season squeezed into an hour and a half.
With a higher budget.
Same thing with Entourage. Same thing with Sex and the City. Same thing with Power Rangers, both movies. Same thing with any television show that's like for years people asked for this movie. For years people asked for an Entourage movie, and then when they finally give it to us, it's just like a long TV show. You know.
Why did you bring this to us? I remember we had hung out a few weeks prior to this, and Power Rangers
That's
came
what
up.
it was.
And for the longest time, you were very shy about being a guest, and you were like, yeah, no, it's cool. I'll just be in the background. I'll just hang out when you guys record. But Power Rangers came up, and you were like, actually, I'm down to do Power Rangers.
I think it's just like how Alejandro said. He's something that I think all of us have some sort of connection with Power Rangers, whether it's the show or the movie. I think it just resonated with me to the point where I felt like I didn't even have to watch the movie to remember shit.
We could have done this episode last week as soon as Chris brought it up or whenever it came up, and I'm pretty positive I would have had these same notes with these same thoughts.
Right.
Like I said, I mean, I love this movie. There's not one bit of this movie. It's a bad movie. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, of course.
But there's not one bit of this movie that I don't like.
There was like small details that I did like miss, like as you watch it when you're an adult and you're like, oh shit, like why is the dad acting like this, and
Bulk and Skull are way funnier now as an adult. Looking back now, I never saw the Laurel and Hardy-esque comedy that Bulk and Skull were able to provide throughout like multiple seasons. I think they have the longest tenure in any Power Rangers show. Bulk and Skull came back.
They've existed for the longest time.
More than any other Power Ranger.
I heard that they were planning on doing like a spin-off where Bulk and Skull would own a
smoothie
hotel.
Shop. Oh,
or
I thought they were supposed to own the smoothie shop
was it a smoothie shop
that they all hung out in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I heard it was a hotel. This was like another YouTube video that I was
Some
watching.
Sweet Life
that they
and
would
Zack and
own their
Cody
own
stuff?
hotel, and like they would have like an odd bunch of characters come through the hotel, and it'd just be like a sitcom. But it obviously got canceled.
It would have been crazy if there was like random like battles going outside of the hotel here and there,
and they're trying to figure it out.
Like what the fuck did
That's
that?
a solid idea.
We are
Write it
45
down.
minutes in. Let me do the nitty bitty real quick. And then, because we clearly have millions of things to say. I have a bunch of things to say. We all have a bunch of things to say. And then I also want to touch on the updated trailer that came out a couple of years ago.
The fan made?
For the fan-made Power Rangers film.
sweet.
Yeah.
Because I think that's actually what sparked this episode.
Dude, yeah, I
was watching
I
that.
have
I think
not
that's
even
what it
seen
was,
that.
yeah.
And you guys brought that up, and it was crazy.
So good. We watched a movie called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. It was released in 1995 and is rated PG, has a runtime of 1 hour, 39 minutes, or 99 minutes. And honestly, it could have been 100 minutes, and I would have watched every second of it.
One more minute, please.
It's a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 40% on Metacritic, and half a star out of 4 from, at that time it was Ebert and Cisco, because he had his partner with him, but Roger
half.
Ebert. Half of a star out of 4.
Half of a star,
That's
nice.
crazy.
Chris and Chris Chen.
Ooh,
Would you gentlemen like to guess? And Jules, if you're not looking or listening.
Julia Perry's in the building
I
too.
think she has headphones in though, so.
She's listening to another podcast while we're recording this podcast. So thanks.
Which episode?
Bye.
Oh, cats? Nice. Chris, would you like to guess what percentage of Google users
90%.
Christian, would you like to guess what percentage of Google users approve of this film?
84%.
Jules, would you like to guess what percentage of
looking at it
Google
right
users approve
now.
of this film?
Cheetah.
Yo, you can't look at the computer screen.
She says no. The answer is 90%.
Oh, it's
Chris got
90.
it on the dot.
I saw it on the text message.
Oh,
that's right, it is there.
That's why I was like so confident.
Oh, when I sent a screenshot, or when you
someone
sent a
sent me-
screenshot.
someone sent it. I thought
Anyways, it's, you know what?
I cheated.
It should
Yeah.
be 100% Google users. Right? I've never met somebody. At
It's
least
a 90s thing. Only the 90s kids
that's
understand.
smart.
With the thing, you're
85
gonna
to
like it.
95.
Only
It's 85 to 95 kids.
the only way you'll like this movie is if you associate it with good nostalgic memories
Yeah,
of the past.
Absolutely.
If you don't like the Power Rangers, all the reviews that I read that said this was bad was like, it's nonsensical, it doesn't make sense, the action doesn't fit,
course.
it's overly violent. Those are all people who don't understand Power Rangers. If you understand the world, especially the world of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the camp, the somewhere between Saved by the Bell and a Japanese fighting show, like
right. That's a good comparison.
it is truly like an amalgamation of so many things of the 90s. If you're not with it, then you're not part of it. You're like it is truly one of those things.
Right.
I think you can appreciate Pokemon from afar, knowing that it makes your kid happy and shit like that.
Of course.
But I don't think any parent watched Power Rangers and was like, I'm glad my kid likes this guy kicking the shit out of people.
I don't know. Actually, there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of progressive aspects of this show. It was something where they took racially diverse cast of members.
That's true.
And gave all of them powers and the.
But kept them stereotypical in their roles, though.
Of course, there are definitely some.
But is that their fault or is that television of the 90s?
It could be television of the 90s.
That's a fair, yeah.
So like, there's that contrast with Trini, the original Yellow Ranger, is Asian. Rest in peace, dude.
She's from the Bay Area, if I believe correctly. In fact, I don't want to speak out of school here, but I believe we went to school with somebody who is blood related to her.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll say her name off mic, but
Okay.
I do believe we know somebody who's related to her.
But yeah, it is kind of like, it is uncanny that Trini is an Asian, and she was the Yellow Ranger.
Was she Filipina too?
I think
Vietnamese.
Yeah, she did.
Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And then Zach was black, and he was the Black Ranger. And then
Which, not the best, but still, I get what you're saying.
I love how like once they switched too, once they had Adam and Aisha, they just switched the black and the Yellow Ranger to be
kept
like
the red. Although the Red Ranger got significantly tanner.
Rocky. Yeah.
Austin St. What's his name?
Austin St.
The
John,
original.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin St. John.
He was my brother's
Jason.
favorite Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Hands down, like bar none, always was. My brother kind of looks like him, is very similar in features.
I can see that.
So I wasn't allowed to like the Red Ranger, right? When I was a kid.
It's funny how that's a thing when you're a kid, man.
So my go-to was the Blue Ranger, was Billy. And then when I stopped liking Billy was when the Green Ranger came out.
Oh.
And I brought this toy with me today. This is my Green Ranger Morphin.
That's badass.
It's one of my prized possessions. I murdered a Power Ranger and took it off of his belt. So
a lot of people are gonna be mad at you for saying that.
You're a putty.
What's
because putties never did it.
What's your animal, dude?
If
you had to choose, I mean.
Honestly, the White Tiger was always my favorite.
Now, was it White Tiger or did he say White Liger?
No, it's okay. This was another one of my notes. It's White Tiger in the movie, but in the show, he only ever morphs as the Tiger Zord. He only ever calls it Tiger Zord. I got so much shit like that. Anyways, Synapses coming at you here.
Right at you.
After a construction crew accidentally cracks open a gigantic egg that has imprisoned evil maniac Ivan Ooze for centuries, the mighty Morphin Power Rangers prepare to face their most formidable foe yet. The vengeful Ooze kills their elderly mentor, Zordon, and with him, the source of the Rangers' powers. Stunned by Zordon's death, the Rangers struggle to contain Ooze without the help of their Zords, the giant mechanical robots they have grown to depend upon in battle.
Wait, so is that like word for word the same thing from the scroll in the beginning? There's Star Wars scroll.
The Star Wars scroll gives backstory to Zordon.
Okay, I was like, okay.
Right? The backstory is like Zordon was a Power Ranger, and we're all like, what the fuck?
Right.
It was like for the just in case you missed it from the series.
I mentioned this also off mic too. The TV show took steps to explain how the Power Rangers got ninja suits and ninja Zords in the show without referencing the movie, and the movie makes steps to explain the show in case you've never seen the show and you like just happen to be in the movie. So I think it's really interesting how like Saban kind of understood, or maybe it was Fox Kids who kind of understood, who was like, somebody's gonna watch this movie and doesn't know who the fuck the Power Rangers are. Right. So we gotta explain this shit right at the top.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right?
That was gonna be their first introduction to Power Rangers.
Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, who's forced to take Billy and Kimberly to the movies. They get to understand what's happening here too. Right at the top. 2 minutes.
They wanted to give the most exposition possible for newcomers and oldcomers.
Here's one of my favorite things. The budget for this film was $15 million.
I believe it, man.
And well done. I mean, that I don't believe is the true number because I know it overran the schedule and went over budget by far. I don't know if that counts in the overrunning of the budget because it sounds like $15 million might be what they wrote the check for.
I believe it though, for, this is 1995.
I think they may have paid more.
And like, even though it seems very dated now, that was 25 years ago.
It's almost an 80s film.
Dude, almost an 80s film.
Right? With all the fashion.
But like when all of they spent most of that money into the ooze. Like once
special effects.
Once Ivan came to the fucking set, they're like, okay, our special effects team, you're going to be working your asses off. Because I think for 1995, as shitty as it looks now, 1995 must have been great.
It was good. I don't say it was great. And the only reason why I don't say it was great was because I believe it was 93 when Jurassic Park came out.
Ooh, actually, I take all of what I said back.
Yeah.
If Jurassic Park came out before that.
Jurassic Park did come out before because they referenced Jurassic Park in this
You're
film.
right.
Oh, they did.
So Jurassic Park is such a tentpole film for CGI. It's hard for any film that came out after that, one, to be able to do it that well, and two, to be compared and said, not to ruin your words, but to say that was good CGI at the time when it just kind of blatantly wasn't.
I was just trying to see it from I think I was trying to be very forgiving. Yes.
It's good compared to Power Rangers. Compared to the franchise as a whole, very good. Because the show was so low budget.
Right.
That this was, and even the actors, I think we both saw the same behind the scenes thing. Even the actors and the production crew both said, we never had this amount of money before. That's why they have better suits. That's why they have better morphing gadgets. That's why they have better weapons. It's because now they have the money to afford it.
Chris, being a cinematographer, and I'm sure being subconsciously critical of the beauty of things aesthetically, how much did this, even though it held a lot of nostalgia for you, special place in your heart, how much of this was just man, this is looking real ugly?
I think the only moment where I was like, man, that's a pretty cool shot was, you remember when they were walking around trying to find those when
They're trying to find the ultimate power?
No, or they're trying to find Ivan Ooze's
when they end up on the island?
goons. No, in that
When they're transformed and they're in the parking structure.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some cool just cool look to it.
I think
Nice.
also something that's super underrated that I didn't realize until, again, I watched that behind the scenes thing, was how difficult it is to make a 6-person shot look good.
Oh yeah, you have to frame it perfectly.
There's constantly 6, if not 7 people. There's all 6 Power Rangers and then whoever they're all talking to. And it's difficult enough to frame 2 people or 3 people in a shot. But I think we're not giving enough credit to the cinematographer who was able to, and not just make it 6 people in a row, 6 people in a V, 6 people in an L. Make it different. Have them on different levels. Have them in different areas. Standing and talking and interacting in ways where I think shooting, and I think you can maybe attest to it, shooting a shot of 6 people is probably far more difficult than I think we're giving credit to.
Right. I think the hard part is trying to find that balance of
Making it look good.
Making it look good, but also how real it is. Because how often are you perfectly lined up?
Yeah, how often are 6 people in a room next to each other, shoulder to shoulder.
Right, different layers, levels and stuff.
What I love about this movie, and just Power Rangers in general, is when they're searching for the monsters in that parking structure, they're already in fight mode.
I know.
And also,
dude, and the Yellow Ranger says, activating power beam, and it's a dim flashlight.
But that shit was tight.
For sure.
Every character, when one of the things that they did in this film, every helmet had a power. We only see 2 of them, but so the Yellow Ranger and I believe it was
the
Rocky.
Red Ranger.
Yeah, he had that cool
but the Yellow Ranger and somebody else also had lights. The Red Ranger had the scope.
Yeah.
I believe the White Ranger also had a scope. The Blue Ranger had ears that were going to come up and were supposed to move as he moved his head.
To sense enemies?
Yeah.
This is wild,
and
man.
I don't believe, I never read what the Pink and the Black Rangers helmets were supposed to do, but at one point, every helmet was supposed to have, there was so many things that they cut out of this thing too. The bird fight when they first get to the island was supposed to be way more violent. There is a version of the script.
They should have.
There is a PG-13 version of this script that was partially shot, that was filmed in portions, and then I think even the crew and the director were like, this is it's already really violent. That's already the biggest qualm moms have against Power Rangers. We can't also have blood from the talons of a flying bird monster.
But this is touching up on PG-13, because did you
Very
guys see
close to
what
PG-13.
Kimberly was wearing?
I don't think that was the shorts that she had at that time, the high-waisted
Because she left that top in the dryer for way too long.
Yeah, but it wasn't
that
super
was riding up
sexual
on
at that
underboob.
time.
I know,
You didn't
but
see any underboob though.
no, but I was hoping.
Yeah, weren't we all?
I was, and watching this as a 27-year-old man, I'm and with
They
how
gotta keep the dads happy too.
yes, no, for sure, and
Don't fall asleep.
Juliet is chilling on the very comfy beanbag right now.
I brought it up, but I never finished the question. Budget was $15 million. How much do you think this movie grossed in its box office? This does not count VHS DVD sales.
So you said 15 million?
15 million budget.
I'll let Chris go first.
Keep in mind this came out in 4th place the weekend it did, behind both Judge Dredd, Apollo 13, and Batman Forever.
I say it doubled.
So 30 mil?
Yeah.
Christian?
I say tripled, so around 45 to 50 mil.
These are great guesses. Jules, do you want to guess at all?
How much it made?
Yeah.
What did you guess it?
He guessed 30. He guessed 45
yeah.
million. And Jules is guessing $51 million.
Such a fucked up answer.
Everybody's wrong.
What is
well,
it?
Jules is closest, but everybody's
Oh,
wrong.
wow.
$66.4 million box office.
that's
weekend.
what's up. That's
this was
awesome.
a smash hit. That's not counting the toys. That's not counting the Halloween costumes. That's not counting
Sheesh.
VHS DVD sales. I would venture this is $100 million movie franchise on this one movie alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
And that's taking into consideration that this was the 90s when the value of a US dollar.
was it strongest.
Yep.
That dollar could buy you all of Taiwan.
All of the Philippines, man.
I mean, look, there's just so much to say about this film. Honestly, I think there's things that like speak to us at a deep core level, things that none of us really notice. And then, there are things that I learned about this film on this rewatch and studying it that I didn't know in the past. There were so many things cut out of this film. I didn't know that Dulcia was played originally by a different actress.
Oh, the girl in the metal bikini?
Yeah, Jules from the Amazon.
Pretty much.
This girl, I want to talk about that real quick because that girl came from the cuts, kicked some bird ass, and they all said thank you. And she was like, if you want to thank me,
You can get the fuck out.
get the fuck off my island.
Is it Amazon Jules or is it the Pink Ranger who kicks one of the birds in the nuts? Like at one point she just, or is it one of the the Uzi guys in the parking lot scene? But at one point, one of the girls just straight up kicks one of the nonchalant bad guys straight up in the nuts. And I thought to myself, like,
Are you talking about the Megazord?
That was
the
dope.
Megazord does a knee in the balls later
okay,
on.
okay.
But there is
I like
a
how that was an emergency button.
I know.
That he had to shatter.
They
I
have
know.
to. They know it's going to happen eventually. We'll get to it. We're not at the end, guys. But I'm pretty sure someone gets kicked straight up in the balls, and I thought that could have been a PG-13 move.
This is teaching them self-defense. I don't know because that could be PG. I would let my daughter see that technique for sure.
X-Men: The Last Stand was almost rated R in Europe, or whatever the top level is in Europe, because Iceman headbutts Pyro. Mm-hmm. And in Europe, the headbutt is way worse because they don't want you doing it in soccer. It's a way bigger offense if you're headbutting in soccer. So they had to cut that part out of X-Men Last Stand in the European showing.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't know why I brought up X-Men, but yeah, this film just it hits on so many points like that, though. I mean, the violence is comical to a point, yet also very brutal at points. The fight scene with the Ooze's minions,
Right.
they're throwing one against the wall. He completely obliterates. He explodes into guts.
Yeah, there's
and
a lot
viscera.
of moves that defy physics as well.
They had to cut
Oh my gosh.
the flips, the flipping away.
Like, it makes no sense.
How many flips? Like they easily could have walked from point A to point B, but they decided to backflip.
Right.
Their martial arts should be called flip jitsu.
You know
Pretty
what?
much.
It's talking about time. The amount of time it takes them to morph and do all the posing and shit.
Yeah.
And everyone's just standing
Just
around,
watching them?
Yeah, waiting.
My whole thing is why not just morph right off the bat? Why not just as soon as you see bad guys, morph immediately? They always wait until they're almost losing the fight. Same thing with the Zords. Why not just not morph at all? Call the Zords, step on the motherfuckers.
Can you imagine people that just hear them morphing and not seeing what's happening? They're
Oh.
just yelling animal names.
Like somebody
That's crazy, yeah.
in the movie, they morph for the first time with their backs up against the wall. I imagine one construction worker on the other side of the wall being like, "What the fuck is happening over there?"
What the hell?
And it also like their clothing. Me and Jules were talking about this. These motherfuckers are wearing
Color coordinating. They're not hiding their identities.
Everyone's we have to
not hiding
If I
their
was
identities.
if I was in Angel Grove just chilling and I saw 5 cats wearing the same exact colors
One dude
as the
wearing all
Power
blue,
Rangers.
one dude all red. I do want to say something about the costumes when they're rollerblading.
Yeah.
Everybody has white helmets except for the Black Ranger.
No way.
He has a black helmet.
What?
Everybody, yes. Everybody has white helmets, white skates with the straps their
No,
color,
but I
and
swear. So there's a trim though. At least
the trim is white. The trim is white for sure. But the trim of everybody else's helmet is their color.
They're like, Zach,
Right,
sorry
right.
we ran out of
No,
white
they just
helmet.
straight up well, we can't give the Black Ranger a white helmet.
Right.
If I saw, to answer your question, if I was out in public and I saw 5 people
They're
color
in a gang.
coordinated to very specific colors, I would either think, okay, y'all are the Power Rangers, or these are 5 regional local gangs meeting up
for
to
a board meeting to call it
dispute
quits,
a feud.
bury the hatchet. Look, us over here at Green Street, We're done fucking with the El Rojos.
All right.
We're only here.
But the pink queens, like, we got something to say.
And the Navy Blues better get their crack out of my home now. And then the Black Rangers are just like black guys, and they're just like, yeah.
Chris, what would your animal be?
If I had to choose from what they were
Or
had,
your own. Or your own. It
own.
seems like since you put the White Ranger action figure in front of you, you resonate the most with Tommy.
I actually like Adam, the Asian
I could
one.
see. Yeah.
Me and Jules were actually
Adam
talking
Park.
for Halloween. She's gonna be Dalcia.
Can we all be
and I was
Power
gonna be
Rangers?
the Asian.
Make costumes for adults.
They definitely make. Jules just said they need to make costumes for adults from this Power Ranger movie. I bet you we can find ninja costumes that we can make into Power
Let's
Rangers.
make our own. Let's fucking
Do
cosplay,
we have enough friends?
dude.
I'm so
Do we have
down.
enough friends to do the ninjas? Because I'm going to say right here, right now, I call dibs on the White Ranger.
Oh, that's all you.
That's fine. I want to be Billy so bad.
I'll be.
That's fact.
Yeah,
The-
I'm not
the
being
actor-
a dick.
He's a
And
good
that's
ass-
actually really unfortunate because apparently that's why he quit the show.
He went into
Yeah.
depression after
Yeah.
that because he was
Yeah.
getting a lot of
It's
harassment.
fucked up.
The fucking 90s, bro.
Yeah.
He was ahead of his time though.
Yeah.
Super
If you
ahead of his
think
time.
about it.
I do want to bring up, since we mentioned it briefly earlier, the 2015
17.
17 fan made.
Oh, the fan made.
What year was that? Was that 15?
I don't remember.
With James Vanderbeek.
James Vanderbeek, there's a fan made Power Ranger trailer, quote
So
unquote,
good.
unofficial trailer. And it is 8 minutes, 10 minutes. of
Gritty.
what
Right.
Power Rangers could have been.
right.
Look it up right now. Check it out. I think that's why we were doing this episode. It was because me and Chris, I brought that up to Chris off the cuff. And I think Jules had seen it already. And no, she hadn't seen it. Jules hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Christian hadn't seen it.
No.
I think one other person at that day had seen it. And we're all like, you guys have to see
He
this.
threw it
because
up on the TV, and
Right.
it was a wild cinematographic
we were silent
experience.
for
It
8
was-
minutes.
It was
Longer
tight.
than I remember, but very, very beautifully done. Incredible graphics.
Yeah.
In that, what I brought that up for is in that they have a scene where the Power Rangers are being killed. The Blue Ranger, they make a reference to the fact that he comes out.
Yeah.
One of the Lifetime magazines or newspaper clippings in the
I didn't
background
catch that.
is that Billy came out.
That's
Holy
awesome.
shit,
That
dude.
movie does not get enough credit for the in-depth fan love that was put into that.
Well, you know, Tommy or Jason David Frank or whatever.
Jason David Frank.
He wasn't a fan of it. He was like, it's too brutal.
Yes.
And I get that, but for the kids that grew up in the 90s, we were all like,
We're
what?
grown up
I
now.
believe
Yeah.
he's come around because the like White Dragon Slayer series that took off, this like fan made
Right.
series that they did, and then that developed into a comic book. He's fully into that because it features the White Ranger way more. I think Jason David Frank, to a fault, does this for the kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's why he didn't
he
like
likes
that.
to please the fans a lot to the point where he was very active with this. I feel like it was like this YouTube series where they would take.
Oh, like two different characters
Yeah,
and fight.
so it would be the White
Yes.
Ranger versus what would happen if the
Things
White
like
Ranger
called Bat Son or
Fadzio
something.
something
like that. So it'd be
Yeah.
like, what would happen if we took the White Ranger and made him go against who was Ryu from Street
Right,
Fighter,
Right.
or
Oh, that would
Scorpion
be
from
cool.
Mortal Kombat? No, there are YouTube
Yeah, it's
videos
tight.
of that,
Like
And it's-
Batman versus like I forgot who, but I know
Yes.
it's a Batman
Wolverine.
one.
and
That
it's
was a
him
comic,
as
Batman
the
versus
White
Wolverine.
Ranger fighting.
That's tight.
These
So he
people.
does the video of it.
Yes.
So they make a video of the White Ranger fighting. I haven't seen it, so I'm asking.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. I was watching a YouTube video where they were talking about it, not
Right.
necessarily it, and I'd have to show you guys
He
afterwards.
is so buff and so tatted out.
Yeah, he's a fighter.
He's so
He's a
tatted out.
championship MMA fighter.
He's a fighter.
He actually was in the UFC.
I believe he's a 3-time champion. I might be speaking out of term here, but I believe he's won at least 3 times, and
I believe
black
it.
belt multiple. I learned that most of the men, especially in the Power Rangers of the movie, Rocky, Adam, Tommy, all have martial arts background.
Yeah.
Billy, Aisha, and Kimberly all have gymnastics
Even
Even
background.
Trini has a
As a
gymnastics
Trini.
background.
And then August St.
That's
John
right.
has a martial arts background because he's still
Oh, the
has a
original
dojo.
Red
He still
Ranger.
runs
I
a
think that's
dojo.
what they did, though. I think majority of them were more on the athlete side rather than the acting side. I mean, they probably dabbled
Well,
in
they
it.
they all learn real quick how to become professional actors.
Right.
Right. I think what I learned was the filming of the show was so fast and so quickly done that they very quickly became seasoned television actors to the point where when they replaced the Red, Yellow, and Black Ranger with Adam, Alicia, and Rocky.
Yeah.
When they replaced them, when those three signed on, they were already signing on for the movie as well. They knew that they were going to be that they were making a Power Rangers movie as well.
I wonder how the others felt like to not be a part of it.
What was crazy was that a majority of the ones that left, so the original Red Ranger, Trini, and who else left? The other Black Ranger, Zach.
Yeah.
So they all left because of pay disputes. They were not getting paid to what the contract had said, and so they left. And so fiscally, they weren't being treated the way that they should have for this show.
But they were in talks to come back. John, August, whatever the fuck his name. I always
Red
fuck his
Ranger.
name.
Original Red Ranger
does come back. He comes back for Zeo, and he's in the Turbo Ranger movie.
Yeah, he is. He's like
he does come back.
Right.
And then he came back for the Red Ranger saga, right? When they did that years and years later.
Forever Red.
And the Pink Ranger came back a couple of times. So yes, but they're also in talks for coming back for this movie too. It just didn't quite fit into the storyline.
That's one thing that kind of irked me about this movie. It's like there's 5 of them.
6.
5 of the original,
right.
And then Tommy came on later, right?
There's 6 of them in the movie. But you don't really Rocky barely talked. I don't.
Yeah.
All of them barely spoke.
Yeah. So it's like the movie, the 2017 one.
They all have a little bit more dialogue.
Yeah. There's more. They go more in depth.
A lot more in depth.
And I do want to say, as much as I think that movie is bad, the 2017 version, I do think they spend a better time explaining who the characters are and why it's important to them to be a Power Ranger.
And I think they did that to compensate because they noticed in the past they were really just trying to please the kids. It was here's a lot of action, right?
Well,
kids
here's what you like. We know you like this. We know you like that. We know you like this.
But there were a lot of bold moves with the 2017 movie. Like I had said before, I accidentally purchased
and we're probably going to do a 2017 episode.
And I would love to because I really like that fucking movie.
I will say one more thing about that is I think the 2017 movie took a good look at some of the mistakes that this movie made, missteps, whether they were mistakes or chosen sidesteps from what they knew what they were doing. I think the 2017 movie took those and made that part of their thing. For me, I didn't like in the 2017 film that their visors opened. And they only opened at very trivial moments.
Chris and I love those
I know,
moments.
and this is why I wanted to bring it up, is because it only opened up for them to get a sentence or two out, and then it closed back up. We could have gotten those sentences and that same amount of emotion from that close up, just like we did in this film. The reason why, and me and Chris talked about this, they tried this 95 film with no visors, without mouthpieces, without anything on their face, so that the actors can emote. But to the director's quote, he says, it's not about the Power Rangers' emotions when they're in the uniforms. When they're in the uniforms and Power Rangers, they're supposed to be emotionless warriors who are here to save the world. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to see them emote. We're not supposed to see them have emotions and feelings.
To rebuttal that, in the 2017, if we're going to get a little deep, the 2017 really fleshes out their characters and their constant battle of being these people that have damaged lives. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to focus on each character and why they're damaged, right?
Which, and I appreciate that they do that. I don't think we can get their characteristic traits and how they're emoting without opening the mask. Right. What other Power Ranger have you ever seen them where the mask opens like that?
Well, I mean, none, because this is
none.
A revival though. This is a difference.
It's a reboot. Yeah.
You saying that they don't need to. They are supposed to be these emotionless warriors
when they're in the suit.
When they're in the suit. But that movie is about them battling, becoming the warriors. So I think it could be symbolic of them, still having to be these vulnerable kids, man.
Right. I think
which is not to. We'll get to.
You're good.
But the vulnerable kids part is something I don't think people play enough about the Power Rangers.
Right.
These are kids.
They're young.
They're teenagers. Right.
I think it would have been tight if they went the PG-13 route for the 95 one, and there's a scene of them getting their ass kicked, and then their visors get cracked open, and then you see some grittiness. But obviously,
I want to hear a lot more of your thoughts, because you do have a good knack doing what you do, being a creator of the talent that you do hold. You must be witnessing a lot of things. You must have a lot of crazy ideas for this, of course, very objectively flawed movie that was made in 95. What do you think? So what I'm asking, I guess, continue with what you were saying. What else would you have wanted to see with it?
I think for all of us, I think it would just be seeing a gritty version.
How gritty though?
And
to
in
the point,
between, and in between the fan made one and like the 2017 one, but with like the characters from '95 would have been sick.
There's a solid 2001, 2002 PG-13 rating that would have done justice on both sides for this movie, right? It would have been just palatable enough for kids, yet just violent enough for the kids. Because even when this movie came out, the majority of kids who grew up watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were just about to be teenagers when this movie came out. I mean, me and you watched this film because we had older brothers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wonder how many 94, 95, 96 babies like don't care about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because that just wasn't the generation that they grew up with.
They just missed it.
What's interesting too is like if you look at the 2017 version, I'm sorry to keep on comparing these
No, it's
two.
fine.
This is great.
But
No.
like 2017, it's like those Power Rangers were meant for those, like the issues that they were going through were
Very of the moment.
relatable for teenagers now. Whereas back in '95, I feel like we were meant to look up to them rather than relating to them.
That 2017 movie would have been super out of place in 95.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
95 movie would have been even more out of place in 2017.
Right.
Yeah, well, let's break down. I know this is not about the 2017 one, but I do want to talk about like why that wouldn't have worked in 95. Because first of all, Trini's character, played by Becky G, who was like a famous YouTuber,
Right.
her character is out of place at home, is not really good with her family.
And gay?
Because she's
And gay, right? And
yeah,
she's gay.
because she's
That's
gay.
why. Is
Because
that
she's
why?
a traditional, I think, Hispanic family that's not approving of that.
That's true.
Adam's character, or Zach's character, Zach, who
Right.
is an Asian Chinese guy in the 2017
Yep,
one,
yep.
his mother is sick,
Right.
and so he has that kind of vulnerability to his character when he's at home, but when he's out, he's very obnoxious, very
It's like compensating for something.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's so
Wow,
representative
maybe I
of many
should rewatch
people.
this film because I never really realized those
Rewatch it,
things.
dude.
Yeah.
With Kimberly's character played by Naomi
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and who is
That's
also
shitty. That's
a
Bay right
good
there.
man, dude.
She's no Amy Jo Johnson, but she's good.
Nah, but
She's
then-
no Amy Jo
if
Johnson.
there's
She's no
anyone-
Amy Jo Johnson.
No,
She
but if there's
close.
anyone,
She damn close, though.
yeah, she damn close,
She's
dude.
no Amy Jo
No,
Johnson.
if she were to evolve, I've said this. If she were a Pokemon, she were to evolve.
Amy Jo
dude,
is my
Naomi
first
Scott for
crush.
show turning into Amy Jo.
Amy Jo's my first crush.
But her character, there's a lot of flaws with her character because she had just it's this whole thing with like her lying
popular
about her
girl, right?
boyfriend being the
Right.
popular girl that's no longer popular anymore, and then like with the guy who plays Jason, the Billy from Stranger Things,
Yeah.
super pretty boy.
Yeah, that's where he is from.
Yeah.
His character's flawed because he was this guy that was supposed to be this pro football player, but he
Yeah.
fucked it all up in like some car accident because he keeps doing stupid shit.
Right.
So let me ask you this then.
And then you
Both-
have Billy, who's on like the spectrum.
Billy's
which is tough.
character is on the
very,
spectrum.
very interesting.
And that's deep.
Very. So let me ask you this then: as much as we love that backstory, and as much as we enjoy how they depicted it, could they have done the 2017? Or I'm sorry, could they have done those backstories in '95? If we knew that these Power Rangers had that going on, do you think Tommy, Billy, and our Red Ranger had that stuff going on, but because it was the '90s, we didn't see it. We just had to assume. Do you think that they could have been able to?
More of the palatable conflict. So maybe like Kimberly's conflict with
Being
chopping off her
popular.
hair and like not being popular anymore because of a nude that she sent or some shit. And
I mean, it would definitely take some work to make it fit in '95 for sure. But I wonder if we knew that much of the backstory of the '95 Power Rangers, would this movie be deeper for you?
yeah. But think about the audience that it was geared
It's a
toward.
different time. Movies weren't made like that.
Yeah.
Right now, we're all about why they act this way. Now we care about why bullies are acting like that.
Right.
Yeah. What do you sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say like, it's like it's hard to take the '95 serious. In general, it's hard to take any of them serious. But it's like,
It's very camp.
yeah,
Which
well, at least
lost,
with
camp, we lost camp in 2000.
right. At least with 2017, there was that you had 75% of the movie to get to know these characters
Sure.
and make them feel human. But with '95, it's like the movie in general. There's so many like animated moments and like moments where you're like, what the like that don't make no
What's
sense.
happening?
It takes you out of it.
And it's
Yeah.
also, but not if you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? I think nobody expected people to go see Power Rangers the movie and not know what Power Rangers were. As much as they had that moment in the beginning to explain it and took pains to kind of like, in layman's terms, explain what the Power Rangers are in the beginning of the movie, nobody expected Joe Blow to come off the street and be like, oh, I don't know what what this is. Let me check it out. I think they kind of expected everybody to go in here with an idea of what Power Rangers are, who they are, so we don't need to go into why they got these powers.
And with their
And
kids.
Yeah.
especially since you have the series to kind of be like
Running concurrently.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's like
One of the things I did want to bring up, if we can jump into one of my notes, was... Oh, we already talked about the helmets. We talked about the upgrades of the... Why don't we move a little further into the film when Ivan Ooze is released from prison? Let's talk about the villains a little bit.
Yeah. So I thought he was quite a ridiculous... He was very sitcom-y, right?
Yeah.
Very shticky. He high-fives Goldar.
right.
And he has like all these like one-liners like, honey, I'm home.
Yeah.
And that like takes
The
me out of
Brady
it.
Bunch reunion.
Right.
Yes, exactly. What did you think of Ivan? Because he was this new villain.
I mean, as a kid, I thought he was like the perfect villain for it. You know, the Power Rangers to go against, especially him when he like fucked up the command center. I was like, oh damn,
Blew my mind. As a kid,
That's a big deal.
As
Yeah.
a kid, that ruined me.
And how easy it was for him to just kind of seep through those crevices and just be like,
Very,
I'm here, motherfucker.
very Amityville
Yeah.
horror-esque.
It was
Right,
kind of
it was
scary.
kinda-
Very,
it's
very
creepy.
scary. That actor, Paul Freeman, is a pretty well-renowned actor.
He seemed very experienced.
And at the time when they got him, everybody, even like the interviews later, all the actors were like, we got to work with Paul Freeman. Like, he was on the show with us. Poor guy was in makeup for 12 hours.
I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
But do you know where you would recognize Paul Freeman from?
Where?
Indiana Jones.
That's right. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
Yep.
As who?
He's the bad guy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why it's so crazy that you wouldn't recognize someone
No,
because
course
of
not.
that
All
makeup.
the makeup.
Holy
It's
shit!
heavy.
Apparently, you must have seen this too. He broke his ankle or hurt himself and had to go to the hospital. But because it takes 3 hours to take all the makeup off, they just kept his head on, so he was purple from the neck up,
While in the hospital.
sitting at this fucking ER in Australia.
That's
and
hella
he tells
funny.
a story of like, you know, when you're sitting at the doctor's and you see somebody walk in and you're like, God, what the fuck do they have? He's like, imagine what people saw when they saw me walk in. They must have been like, oh my God.
That guy's
That
dying.
guy's fucked.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, he did quite a bit of acting, and they got him because of his characters. Originally, Ivan Ooze had so many more. He played a woman at one point. He plays a black guy at one point. We see his Merlin character. We see the shapeshifting was played up a lot more and then cut out later on.
Right.
Chris, I want to ask you. So he was a villain that was geared toward kids, where you don't take him seriously. Do you wish he was more of like a scarier villain?
I think for what it was at the time, I think they did a good job on kind of making him seem
Scary enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Even as a kid, he didn't give me nightmares, but I do remember being like scared. Like I wasn't afraid of Ivan Ooze, but I was scared of Ivan Ooze.
If he was in my bedroom,
Yeah, I think
I'd
visually,
be like, "What the fuck?"
visually he's terrifying for kids, but then like how he acted was like, oh, he's
This-
bad, but he ain't scary.
This movie for me was
Yeah.
also one of the first movies where I think it had to have been my dad, who was the first person who like explained to me movie production. So the scene where they're digging the Ooze's Zords out of the dirt, and he's drinking that cup that has the smoke coming out of it. That was the first time my dad when he was like, "Oh, that's dry ice," and he's not really drinking; he's faking it.
Right.
And so we watched it a couple of times, and yeah, he's definitely faking drinking it because you don't drink dry ice. And that was one of the first times in my life where I was like, "Oh shit! Like, yeah, movies aren't real. Yeah, that is a guy in
That's
costume."
movie magic.
And that was even as a young kid, that's I think one of the reasons why I'm so fascinated by the production of films, not just how great movies are, but what goes into
There
making
is
it
magic
look
that
good.
makes this stuff look good.
Sure.
Stuff that isn't real. How do you make it look real? Right. I want to talk about that real quick. That the scene where all the parents turn into zombies because of the ooze, and then they go to this construction place, right, to
Yeah.
go find his Zords, right?
Yeah, which he doesn't call them Zords; he calls them something else. But they're essentially Zords.
Essentially his version
Yeah.
of Zords. So he doesn't give a shit. Him, Goldar, all the villains don't give a shit about these parents. They
And
say
Bebop.
go off the cliff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
why?
jump off the cliff.
If he's not so concerned about their safety and wants them to die afterwards, why do all of them have safety vests and hard hats when
That's
they
a
are
great
doing
point.
this? It's like
I'll tell you exactly why. He doesn't want them to die during the job. He needs them to finish the job.
Okay.
Right? When the job's done, now hop off a cliff, bitch.
You know what's hella funny is the kid Fred.
Yeah. His hat is an Air Jordan hat.
Oh, was it?
Oh, he was stunting,
And the
man.
snapback has like a Jordan.
Oh, that's fresh.
It's
That
Yo,
boy
pretty
he was
fresh.
fresh,
I need to
dude.
find me one of those Jordan
That
hats.
kid
That
was
boy
fresh.
fresh.
If you know one, hit me up.
No, but you know how
ICBTB.com.
like he got that little like ooze jar?
Yeah.
and had it on the counter.
Yep.
Like, you know, when his dad walked in, his dad's first concern was like, "What is this? I'm gonna open it up now and stick
taste it and
It's
suck on it.
I've never seen a parent that concerned of
what my toy is.
Yeah.
I've had silly putty. My dad didn't give a fuck.
No,
But that right when he got home, he was
First
like,
thing he does is
"What
dig
the
3
heck?"
fingers in.
no, that father was definitely sexually suppressed. He ain't getting none at home because
He's
he
divorced.
straight up goes
mom.
like this. And then he turns into a zombie.
I will say there was a scene cut out where it was supposed to be Bulk and Skull who were handing out the ooze to kids. That's why Bulk and Skull are with the kids at the end of the fight scene, is because the whole thing was ooze convinces them. So there was a whole cutout scene where Bulk and Skull are answering like a want ad in the newspaper for good-looking, smart people to work for Ivan Ooze, and Skull is like, I'm smart, and Bulk is like, and I'm pretty. So they go and work for Ivan Ooze, handing out ooze to all these kids, not knowing what they're doing. When they find out later that the ooze is brainwashing adults, that's when they pair with the kids to help fight and save the adults.
Jesus.
And also,
So fucking
which
funny.
also leads to my favorite line in the entire fucking movie, which comes at like minute 138, which is when they're doing the fireworks to Van Halen, also a great fucking ending. And it says, "Thank you, Power Rangers." And Bulk and Skull go, "Thank you, Power Rangers."
Because they thought they were the heroes.
So that means to me, this entire movie, Bulk and Skull have no idea what's happening behind them. It's just them like, yeah, we saved the parents. Now they're throwing us a parade. Now we're the heroes. Now we've been redeemed. They have no idea. I just would love to see this movie. Instead of going to Ninjago planet, I want to see what the fuck Bulk and Skull
They
were
need to
doing
do like
the entire time.
Bro, if you think about it, it's like Timon and Pumbaa with Lion King 1.5. Like
Oh,
that's
yes.
that's
They need,
right.
they need to do a Power Rangers
Ranger
1.5.
to see their perspective.
Power Rangers 1.5 needs to happen.
Could you imagine?
I will. Both
Be
of
like
these
a
actors still
30-minute
love
movie.
Power Rangers.
Yo, how come they can't just make them Power Rangers? I'm down to see Bulk in a Power Ranger
Well,
costume.
I think at one point they did get power coins.
I hope so because
Not
if
Mighty Morphin.
There is like a recently new thing that I saw on YouTube where
Yeah.
I think
Because they're still
One of them-
involved. There's
right.
both of them are still.
this has become their career.
If not the most recent iteration of Power Rangers, then maybe the second to last one. But they are still involved in the Power Ranger TV show. Skull he took over like the Ernie role, where Ernie was like the guy who ran the juice bar where everybody hung out. That's what like Bulk and Skull do now.
that's crazy.
They're running, and that's why you keep saying
They're
that
like
they
the
are
adults.
the owners of that smoothie bar or something.
Yeah, and I may not have it completely correct, but I believe in one of the later seasons they are like the Ernie of the Power Rangers, who was supposed to be in this movie,
Right.
which wouldn't make sense because like we don't see any the Angel Grove we see in the TV shows is not the Angel Grove we see in the movies,
Right.
because it was filmed in Sydney, Australia. So like they wanted to have Ernie there, but they didn't have time to build him. He was not going to be at a juice bar anymore. He was going to be at like a roller rink or something like that. It just didn't end up working out for him. But yeah, they really had intentions to bring everyone involved in the show into this movie.
What's your guys' views on like how they did Zordon with him like aging?
You know,
He looked better dying than he did alive. Because
Yeah.
Zordon
You look like
naturally,
Casper.
he looks so puffy. He looks
Yeah.
like he's having an allergic reaction. And so when he was dying on his deathbed, if
He
you could
looked
call
like
it
a
a deathbed,
Lolo.
he looked like an old uncle that I really felt for. But when he's just a floating face, I can't really connect with the floating face rather than
Right.
like a person lying
he
down.
kind of looked like Senator Palpatine.
Oh, I actually
Yeah.
I did make a mental note of
Yeah.
that. He does look like Senator Palpatine.
Two things I want to say about Zordon. One, Zordon out of the tube, laying on the crystals, for a long time when I was a kid, is how I imagined God.
Yeah, I can see
Like
that.
Zordon,
Yeah.
not like dying, but like that old wrinkly man in like a robe. That's how
Right.
I imagined
You
God
might be
for a
the
long
first
time.
person in the world to imagine male version of God without a beard. Because you could
Yeah.
ask anyone, they think that God looks like
Yeah, he didn't-
Santa
when-
Claus with straight hair.
When I was a kid growing up, God didn't have a beard. Jesus did, but God didn't have a beard as a kid growing up. Now it's all fucking nonsense. Anyways,
Damn, dude.
but I think the Bryan Cranston Zordon.
That was tight though.
Oh, I do have a
like
fun
that.
fact before we dig
Is it
into
about
that.
Billy's name?
Yeah, Billy Cranston was named after Bryan Cranston, who
was.
did some of the
Right.
original voiceovers in the
That's
original
so
series,
tight.
which
He
is
did
crazy.
He did
That's-
3 villains. Bryan Cranston.
Who did he do?
Fuck, I can't think of them now. But one of them was, I believe, that pig episode I was talking about,
Right.
where he eats the people and gets the tattoo of the Power Rangers on his stomach. I believe that pig was Bryan Cranston.
Okay.
Wasn't Bryan Cranston the one that said those rude things though to the original Blue Ranger?
Really?
I don't know.
Okay,
That's
I'm-
quite a statement,
Okay, don't
though,
quote me.
man.
That's huge.
Delete that.
That's
All right.
huge. Big.
Google
no,
that.
we don't have to delete it. We'll just add this. Big if true.
Yeah.
Big
Big
if
if true. I know he was also like, besides just doing voiceovers for the show, apparently he was pretty involved in like making the show a thing in America. At the time, he was a voiceover actor and trying to make his credits, but was involved in like the production of the show. That's why they named one of the characters after him, is because not just because he did voiceover, he was really heavily involved in like why the show became part of America. So when it became a movie and they came to him, it was a no-brainer. I mean, especially at the time that they got Bryan Cranston in 2017, that's maybe the height of his career.
Right. Oh yeah,
Post Breaking Bad. Like that truly was Bryan Cranston's height of his career. And then to take a role like Zordon, that's just because you care about the franchise.
Yeah. Do you remember how Zordon looked in the 2017 one?
He looked like Bryan Cranston.
Like those like toy things.
Exactly. Like the needle things that you put on like your hand.
Which I think is better.
I think it was better than the floating head.
Well, it's cool too how he was able to like
move.
Yeah, exactly.
The floating head in the show, though, looked better than the floating head in the movie.
Which makes no sense.
I wasn't a fan of Alpha in the 2017.
Really? Do you know who that's voiced by?
Bill Hader.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
I wish they did like a how he was like in the show, robotic.
Both this, what I wish this Alpha, and I think I wish the same thing about that Alpha 5 as well, was I wish they would almost do like an R2-D2 in Revenge of the Clone or Attack of the Clones, where suddenly R2 has like jetpack and like a taser, and suddenly he has like all this shit that we've never seen before or ever again.
Right.
Let's make this pacifist robot. Not pacifist
just
anymore.
All of a sudden, R2-D2 is just flying across the sky and like is like tasing people. Like I want to see Alpha 5 like when Alpha 5 got the shit kicked out of him by Ivan Ooze.
Was she that taser?
Zero fight. How come Alpha has zero defensive measures?
You would think Zordon would give him some pepper spray
Alpha
or some
has
shit.
zero defensive measures? That's unbelievable.
But I want to get back to this. You did not like Bill Hader's version?
No,
it's not Bill Hader. It's the character. It's that version looked gross.
I just didn't like the way he looked.
Oh, aesthetically.
Yeah, I agree
get
100%.
I feel like they just made him look too weird.
I am super torn about the 2017 suits as well.
Oh, no. All dope. I think all dope.
Maybe it's the helmets, and that, again, maybe it comes back down to the visors. But I think the original helmets, even in this suit, the helmets are perfect.
The suits on the 95 were fucking fire.
They're so phenomenal.
Solid.
But what are your thoughts on the 2017 one?
I don't like CGI uniforms. Same problem I have with Green Lantern.
Yeah,
was it all? It wasn't all CGI though.
Those,
right?
I'm pretty sure.
Not
I know
all of
this with the chest piece, like how it had the galaxy effect with CGI, but I think most of it was practical, unless they were fighting, because like you can't move that good in those kind of suits. But
I don't know if they can move that good. Period.
Now
I don't know. I kind of like the design.
I don't think they got MMA fighters and gymnasts.
Gymnasts.
I don't know why. I don't think they got MMA fighters and gymnasts for the 2017 film. I think they got actors and actresses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So so the priorities were different in this movie.
Yeah.
In the later movie.
Well, they had the technology to like, okay, we could have a physical actor, like a stuntman, in these suits, and when the mask comes off, we have the technology to kind of like make it so it's actually.
They had that technology in '95.
Yeah, but did they want to spend the money on that or the ooze, right? So I've said this before. I like to base how much I like a movie on how
hard I get
on the blood flowing through my dick. I like to base it off of like how much it sparks emotion within me, right? Like if I turn everything else off and I'm just watching it to be entertained, that's how I know I like the 2017 one, regardless of how like CGI
really
I'm gonna be real vulnerable right now. Almost cried, but I didn't because my mom was in the kitchen with me when I was watching.
I almost cried when Billy was like just laying.
Almost fucking died.
Yeah.
I think this one has a little bit more.
I think 95 had a good chance as far as as far as conveying some sort of emotion. If they dive. They were hinting so much with Tommy and Kimberly's relationship.
I wish there was more.
They couldn't.
Yeah, and then
because
Zordon, they could have dived more into Zordon and to get some more emotion.
Kimberly's and Tommy's nonverbal interactions was the most it was just too subtle of foreplay. Like y'all are just really eye fucking each other, hold hands, something. They kiss on the show. Even when they kiss on the show. Peck, because it's a kid's show. You can't show a smooch.
Right.
But I wish
see full frontal nudity.
When there's a movie and you have an hour and a half to develop the characters' relationships.
They could have cut out that skeleton fight and added a little more exposition, a little more dialogue.
I would have loved some sort of like how they did with the 17 movie with causing conflict within the group. Like if Rocky and Tommy had some sort of leadership conflict, that would have been like epic.
Yes. I wanted to see that. Yeah, I want to see more development of the characters. Like, who are these people? Because you don't. I don't know anything about the Aisha. If I already just watched the movie without watching the show, I don't know anything about these Rangers.
You don't know anything about Aisha if you watch the show.
Because, she's
it just
still
felt
new.
like everyone was following Tommy, which is like, I get he's the leader, but it's just like...
Did you ever find it weird that Tommy just came in and took over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was kind of interesting how Tommy came in here and was like, I'm not just going to take over the group, but I'm also going to fuck your girl. And
Well, okay, so I don't I'm a fan of Power Rangers, but I don't remember, like, did Jason and Kimberly have a thing?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Dude.
100%.
Kimberly just throwing it out
It was
around,
always
man.
the Red Ranger and the Pink Ranger. And then that was even one of like the first reason when the Green Ranger first shows up and Tommy is just a kid at school, Kimberly like immediately has eyes for him, and
Right,
Jason doesn't like him because of that.
Oh man,
Like,
no! I will kill a man for Kimberly, dude. I would. Shoot, come on!
Or would
Don't
you
corner me like that?
or would you quit the show and let someone else take your role?
Ooh, how bad you love her, huh?
Wait, quit the
Maybe,
show?
yeah, maybe you can't stand seeing her with another guy, so
Nope.
you're just like, I'm out.
I'm a fighter. No, I'm not gonna be like.
You don't
Fine,
think Austin
have
St.
the
John
girl.
is a fighter? You think he's a rollover kind of guy?
The fool came out with the karate book, dude.
That guy runs a dojo. He has like both him and Jason David Frank have very successful dojos.
You know what's crazy? All these guys are like making money off just cosplay. I mean, like Comic Cons.
You mentioned anime. Adam is very big in anime. He does a lot of voiceovers and anime stuff. So maybe that's another way to get you into anime is look for one of the ones that he's done, and then at least you can be like, that's Adam's voice.
Right.
Oh yeah, for you listeners out there that
Oh yeah, who didn't hear what we were talking about 2 hours ago?
Chris is dipping his toes in anime.
And I'm thinking about it.
Yes, dude.
I'm looking at the pool. I haven't put my trunks on, but I'm looking at the anime pool.
No, put your trunks on. I think it's about time that you understand that there's chlorine in there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
all this
I'll
stuff that you
send
don't
the
like in the
kids
pool.
area.
Yeah,
But the kids area, I think, is what's going to make me not like the pool.
yeah. I'm not saying go into the 8-foot
Yeah,
deep
yeah.
section of the
Is
pool,
there a 4-foot waiter area?
but like you could definitely sit on the beach chair that is
That's in the water a little bit.
Yeah, get a tan real quick.
Those Marvel animes seemed kind of cool.
Yeah, dude.
Did I see Captain America?
I gotta YouTube
I'd see a Captain America anime. Is that a thing?
I think it's a thing actually.
But I want to watch like an anime that's straight up in Japanese.
But you can't jump to level 10 first.
I mean,
you
I
maybe can.
already started with the one that we watched last night.
What's it
so-
called? In the
Power
Garden?
Rangers?
Yeah, it's something.
It was a super weird.
Joel
In what
says it was
sense?
super weird.
It's just beautiful. It was like the way, like I talked to you before. It's just,
There's been a couple of movies that have been adaptations of anime films, right? And what was that one with John Boyega and the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Not Titan.
Attack on Titan?
No.
Wait, what are you talking about?
It was a big movie with also big robots fighting deep sea monsters.
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. That's based on an anime, correct? Or a manga?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I believe that's based on a Japanese thing. And I remember watching that, thinking to myself, I bet you this in a cartoon would look better.
Not Gundam. Check out Gundam. Maybe you're thinking Gundam.
They just built a real Gundam, bro. Did you see that?
no.
They built a real 60-foot Gundam in Japan that fucking walks.
I saw that.
Japan doing everything, dude.
They don't need that.
My buddy, who's a toy photographer, his name's Adam. He told me to start watching Ghibli.
Is that the one with the big rabbit?
Yeah, Ghibli is a studio where they have a bunch of different anime movies, and there's like Moon's
rabbit?
Howling Castle. There's Ponyo. The illustration is beautiful, and the
That's what he
message is
told
great.
me.
I think that's actually a good place to dip your toes
Which
in.
one would you like? Which one that pops up to you? That's like
Any of them, dude. Honestly, I don't think they're.
Should we sign up for Crunchyroll?
Funny story. I've been paying for Crunchyroll for 2 years without knowing it.
Is that like a Netflix for anime?
Yeah,
Crunchyroll.
because it was one of those hidden things where I signed up for like a 2-week trial and I
Oh,
forgot
and it just
about
kept
it.
going.
And I was like, what? It's like
Probably like
$9 a
7,
month
9,
for
yeah.
2 years.
God.
So I just lost like $250 for anime that I didn't watch.
Baddies. Can you Venmo
Christian,
not only
$250.
$6 but now $250?
Yeah,
Or-
Venmo me at Christian-Baltazar.
Let's finish up Power Rangers movies before we get lost in anime
Yes,
talk.
yes.
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 I have maybe 1 or 2 things left to say. Chris, do you have any big important things you want to bring up? Because this was your movie, is there any important topic?
I have a question outside. It's like within the Power Ranger world,
Sure.
but outside. Were you guys a fan of any other Power Ranger series outside of Mighty Morphin?
I lost it.
So I was a big fan. I was super into Mighty Morphin. When they switched over to like the Ninja one, I was still into Mighty Morphin. Zeo was a big fan.
Dino Thunder.
I watched Turbo. Hang on, let's wait your turn, okay? I watched Turbo, the movie Power Rangers, the movie Turbo.
Yeah.
Did not watch the Turbo series. I believe right after Turbo
Dino
was,
Thunder.
Let me fucking finish. I believe it was
Ninja Storm.
the PD. No, the Space PD one. And then
SPD?
after SPD was Jungle Force. Then was Dino Thunder, which I watched every single episode because Tommy came back. Tommy
For
was
Dino
like not just their Zordon, but also their Gold Ranger, Black Ranger.
Right.
So he had a fairly big role. And then after Dino Thunder, that's when then they became like witches, and then like I lost all of it. I did come back when the Red Rangers battle was, and they had all of the Red Rangers there.
That was a good one.
That was pretty fucking dope.
I watched up until like Wild Force.
Wild Force, yeah. I only watched anytime there was dinosaurs, I was in.
Right.
Anytime the Red Ranger or the Green Ranger was there, I was in.
What's Wild Force?
Wild Force is the one.
Jungle creature. There was 3 of them.
That was the Red Ranger who like killed someone.
Yeah,
like
that was him.
That was him. So I have mixed feelings towards him. Like, I don't know.
Hey, separate the artist from the art,
dude.
You gotta separate the artist from the art.
Crazy. I want to go into that. What did this Red Ranger do? How did he kill?
I heard
the
it like
person?
he's like stabbed like with a sword or something.
What the fuck?
Was it the Red Ranger sword?
I could be wrong. Don't quote me.
Yeah, as much as I want to separate the art from the artist, if it was with the Red Ranger sword, boy,
could you imagine?
that's not the message you want.
But the thing
spread.
is too, I know like I've seen some like comic illustrations and they still draw him up. So I'm like,
there's a huge Power Ranger comic book group because they really got a second coming in the comic books actually, like, and it's Mighty Morphin. So they're
has
very popular.
Alex Ross done anything with Power Rangers?
He's done some
That'd be
artwork.
sick, dude.
Oh, I don't. Maybe it wasn't Alex Ross. He would be great. He does some really good art. I know we have that in common of a huge affinity for him. I just quickly pulled up. The actor's name is Ricardo Medina Jr., best known for his role as the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Wild Force. In 2015, he pleaded guilty to murder of a gentleman by the name of Joshua Sutter.
What happened?
Looks like they had gotten into an argument over Medina's then girlfriend, which turned physical and ended with Medina stabbing Sutter multiple times with a sword.
That's so
Who the fuck
bro.
just killed someone with a sword? It's not medieval times.
Sentencing is scheduled for March 30th, 2015. He's facing up to 6 years in a state penitentiary.
Only 6 for a sword?
When you plead guilty, they don't give you don't get life when you plead guilty.
Yeah, I'm curious what the context is, or like deeper,
That's
like
crazy, dude.
That one was a crazy rumor that went out, and then also the rumor that
like how premeditated was it?
St. James Red Ranger was a porn star.
I heard that.
That's not true. That guy just looks like him.
Oh,
That guy just, at the time of the internet and the pornos like coming out, like everyone had shot all over the place. But even that guy has come out and says like that's not me.
That's crazy. That sucks how like rumors spread so fast, especially now, dude. Like,
well, now we have
rumors are just,
deepfakes and shit. You can almost like put the photo up and be like, I have photo proof of it. That's why you almost can't believe your eyes anymore.
Right.
No, you can't, dude. Like technology has reached a certain point where like now you could make someone look like someone they're not, right? You could
or
frame
make someone
people.
do something.
You can morph into someone you're not.
Way to bring it back.
Way to bring
Chris.
it back.
Attaboy. Do we, Chris? Can you do 2 things for us? Can you rate this film on a scale of 1 to 5, and can you tell us your best person on set?
That's tough. I'm gonna say I give it a 3. Out of 5.
Out of 5, yeah.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Best person on set award. I know I said it. I'm gonna go with. Man, that's someone else go first.
Okay. Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. 3 out of 5, same. Because I still think it's, of course, better than average because of all the nostalgia that it holds. Because if you were someone that didn't know what the Power Rangers
you would
not like this. You could not sit through this. You couldn't even put it on in the background. You'll be like, okay, if my kid likes this, then I'll leave it on. But since it was so nostalgic and you want to see all that stuff, yeah, 3 out of 5. My best person on set will go to the actor that played Ivan. Paul Freeman. Yes, him, because in terms of acting chops, he was the most advanced there.
I also think he's the most accredited actor. Also, I think he's got a BAFTA.
Oh,
he's got a bathtub.
A BAFTA. British
Oh, a
acting in film,
bathtub. I was like,
television
man,
award.
that's good. He bathes. A bathtub.
I honestly, I give this a 4.5 out of 5. The only knock I have against it is the fact that it is very dated and a PG film and a kids film. But look, if you know the franchise, if you have any kind of connection to Power Rangers, you're gonna love this film. Right. Especially if you grew up in 85 to 95. This is your holy grail. You know, boy, girl, anything in between. Yeah, everybody liked Power Rangers.
Chris, was that enough time for you to figure out something
I'm
you should have known?
Sorry, I'm gonna say the Black Ranger, because I think it was just cool, you know, to see some sort of representation back then, even though it wasn't that much. But he did say one line that I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, when he was upset.
And I was
That
like,
was ad-libbed.
I know it's tight too, because it's like,
Well, you can tell that story. His name is Johnny Young Bosch.
yeah,
That was ad-libbed? He made up
was
his
ad-libbed.
animal on the spot?
No, that
like,
reaction.
I'm a frog.
Oh.
Do you mind me
Yeah,
telling the
no,
story?
go for it.
They were supposed to. Dulcea was supposed to go down the row and like, you are the crane and you are the this and you are the frog to lead strength and power. And he even told the director, he's like, what if like I'm kind of sad that I'm a frog, right? Because it's kind of lame.
One of the best moments of the movie,
And
arguably.
Even he says the director like kind of fought it at first, and they shot. Apparently they would do like a page a day. This film went way over time. They would shoot like a scene a day and it would take forever. So apparently when that came out, like it was at the end of the shoot day. Finally the director's like, all right, fine, let's work it out. Let's see what happens. And then Dulcea was able to come back with this like, yeah, of course you're a frog. The one that you kiss to make a handsome prince.
And he gets
like,
happy.
They were able to make it into, and to me, even
was
as a
tight,
kid,
though.
as a kid, that was one of the most important parts to me. I mean, like, yeah, you got something shitty, but there is something
Right.
good in it.
That was the best
that
dialogue.
was a cool moment for sure.
Very cool moment. That was the most we get to know a character in this movie. Because other than that, all we know is that Kimberly and Tommy about to fuck.
We know a lot about ooze.
Yeah, we know a lot about Ivan
We
Ooze.
learned a lot. I would have liked a flashback of Zordon and Jules over there putting ooze in that egg.
Oh yeah, that would.
I would have liked that as a
Oh, yeah.
flashback.
That would have been sick.
My best person on set award since Christian coming off was
You said, oh, do you want to go? You offered me, and I was like,
no
okay.
before when I was
Alright.
doing my
Love
thing.
you guys.
Here's your opportunity to come
I
back.
love you guys.
Thank you, Jeff Pruitt.
Who's
is
that? The
he's-
producer?
He's the stunt coordinator.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's actually really good.
You gotta. He not only did the stunt coordination, but he also filmed quite a bit of this on his own without the cinematographer, without the director, and then was able to bring it. Not only is he the stunt coordinator, but he is the one who vehemently fought against having the visors open.
You are really adamant about this whole visor open, visor closed.
Because
thing.
I believe the Power Rangers should. It's like Judge Dredd. You're not supposed to see his face.
It barely happens in the 2017 one. It happens like
But it
once
happens. But
when Billy's like, "Oh my God, are you dead?" or some shit like that.
It happens a couple of times. It doesn't happen just once. It happens a couple of times, and I think maybe the reasons why I don't like it is because like. Yeah, I just think, when the Power Rangers are in there, like I said, like Judge Dredd, when you're wearing the suit, when you're wearing the uniform, that's who you are. Mm-hmm. When you're not in the suit, that's when we get to see the emotion. That's when we get to see what life is like at home. Right?
Yeah. And my same rebuttal for that is that there's still kids that don't know who they are, which is why I think it's symbolic of like wearing the suit, being a warrior,
And I get it.
but showing the mask.
And I see that. I now I see it. I didn't going into it. I didn't quite understand what the point was for it. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I do understand that. But if we're supposed to understand Power Rangers, like this is a reoccurring team that happens every couple of thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
They're like hardened warriors who put like universal. They put Galacticus in a fucking egg, essentially.
So it's like Batman, kind of. It's like the symbol itself, rather than like
Exactly.
focusing on them as an individual.
Yeah. Would you want to see Bruce Wayne like in the middle of punching out the Joker, pull his mask off just so he can cry?
Actually, yes, because this is where I'm coming from.
Are you both?
This is
You
where
too, Chris.
Yes, dude. Where I'm coming from is that it's fucking awesome to look at these superheroes as people that you could look up to. But what is better for you to look up to them is when you can relate to them through emotion, through vulnerability. You're telling me.
But if a hero has a mask, they're not supposed to show their emotions.
I lean more towards like the Tobey Maguire. Like the mask is still there, but it's just torn. Like I like stuff that's like you don't see the full thing, but you get a hint.
I did like your thing earlier. You mentioned how if they had gotten a fight and the visor cracked,
Right.
That would have been a really. I wanted to touch on that as what if the visor had cracked, and that's how they lost their powers. was like they just got the shit beat out of them so badly that's what broke their Power Ranger powers, and that's why they had to go to a different planet to find. Also, another thing, originally it was filmed as they were looking for Dulcea as a warrior to come help them fight. So they had to go back and redub all the times that they said, we're looking for the ultimate power. They had to change it because it was originally, we're looking for the ultimate warrior. Which would have been dope if it was actually Ultimate Warrior.
Right quick, what was up? What's up with like Rita Repulsa's ugly ass voiceover all the time?
Should we all try to do her voice?
Yes, as I think that's a good way to sign off.
Now, after 10,000 years, I'm free!
Damn, that was good.
Why am I in a snow globe? I don't know. That's her in the snow globe.
Not a line she says.
Why am I in a snow globe? I'm Rita Repulsa. I'm in a snow globe.
I actually don't know if she ever says her full name.
No, she doesn't say that. But she's like
even in the show, I don't think she ever says, I'm Rita Repulsa.
Okay, Chris, you can't just prompt us with that shit, dude. Yeah, man.
We won't forget 2 minutes ago.
Check out our highly irrelevant episode. Chris does improv.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
it was a
fantastic.
fun time, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, what the fuck, dude? You gotta do it.
Rita impression. This is
The Power Rangers.
10 out of 10, dude.
perfect.
10
I think
out of 10.
that's how we'll end it.
All right, Christopher Perry, thank you
Yeah.
for being a
Thank you guys for
very
All our
special
plugs
guest
are
as always.
in the Tuesday episode, and you know all of our shit. Chris
Yeah.
Perry, CCF. I don't remember your things.
You can follow the business page, Classic City Films, or if you want to see some creative toy photography at the Creative Chip.
That's right.
Yep.
And if you want to just like look at his pretty face, you can't because I'm looking at him.
Honestly, if you go into the deeper archives of his Instagram, you might see a shirtless photo. And
Wait,
on
really?
that note, honestly,
Where's my phone?
when I first met Chris, one of the first
It
Facebook
can't
photos
be
I saw.
that bad, no, it can't be that bad.
All right, peace.
Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't be that bad.